Hey guys, did I ever tell you about my Uncle Albion?
I don't think so.
Well, he had this rare brain disorder, and I think it was because of an accident he had as a kid. But his whole life, he could never tell the difference between whole numbers and decimal numbers.
Huh. That's weird.
Yeah, he spent his whole life missing the point. Hey guys, what's up?
Hey Carl, how you doing?
I'm all right.
Good. Yeah, how are things?
Sir, I'm recovering from Thanksgiving, you know.
Me too. Oh, so much turkey. It's good though. It's good to have a little bit of downtime.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 8 stories this week. Who wants to start?
Ooh, me. I actually really like this first story.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
Okay.
This one's really cool. Ransomware gang files SEC complaint over victim's undisclosed breach. What? What?
A ransomware gang is crying foul. Is that what you're saying?
Oh my God. It's even worse than that. It's a ransomware gang saying, hey, we know that this large company lost data because we're the ones who stole it and they haven't told you about it yet. So we're going to tell you.
Wow.
So get this. The Alpha V or Alpha 5 Black Cat ransomware group. We've been talking about them for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha V? Yeah. Well, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Ransomware group. So they had breached an organization, Meridian Link. And because Meridian Link is a public company, they need to disclose the fact that they were breached, the fact that there was data stolen from their organization.
Right.
And Meridian Link said, you know what, Alpha V, we're not gonna pay you. We're not going to pay for the ransomware. We're not going to pay to get our data back. You know, in essence, go away. So Alpha V said, you know what? That's fine. So you're going to report to the SEC, right? And they didn't. So Alpha V did it for them. Actually went to the went to the United States Securities and Exchange Commission and reported the fact that this company had a data breach and is public and didn't disclose it within 24 hours.
How old do you think the average age of the Alpha V ransomware gang is? Because this sounds like something a 12-year-old would do.
I would be shocked if there's not 16-year-olds in the group, but the average age is probably more like 22.
Honestly, I think this is awesome because they're like, hey, listen, we're going to use the United States government against you so that you pay us.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. It's an interesting move.
Did anything happen to them?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there'll be fines assessed against Meridian Link, and then the government's going to be all in there to see what's going on.
No. I meant Alpha V. Screw Meridian Link. They're the idiots here.
Well, we got to catch them, man. No, we got to catch them.
No, can't catch them. It was just an anonymous post from them. They actually went to the SEC's website and filled out an anonymous form saying, Hey guys, here's the site, blah, blah, blah. Like, wow, that's impressive. Like they went through all the red tape to actually file a complaint against.
It's like a 12-year-old boy going up to his sister and, poking her, and she just looks at him like, what's the matter? Aren't you going to tell Dad? Aren't you going to tell Mom?
So awesome.
See what I did?
Yeah, so apparently if you don't pay for ransomware now, you can get reported to the government.
Where could this go? Where could this go next? So we had we're going to steal the data as we encrypt it so that we can release it and embarrass you. Now we're going to report you to the SEC or whatever 3-letter agency. What's next? I don't know where this could escalate further.
It's pretty crazy, huh?
I mean, unless this company had stockholders and the ransomware gang held a press conference to talk to the stockholders and let them know, hey, listen, we just want to let you know we breached your organization.
Unreal.
You haven't been told about it.
So you know what would be worse is the customers. It's when you become part of the supply chain hack and they notify your customers that they're the reason that the ransomware got on your system. That would be worse. That would be the next level.
Oh, so great.
Which means it's very bad. Dwayne likes it. It's very bad.
No, I think, hey, listen, they're doing their civic duty. And it's like literally in this report, it's like a mugger came up and mugged somebody and got all sorts of secret documents from them. They were walking out of, let's say, like the NSA, and they're holding these secret documents, and mugs them and steals these documents. And then the mugger went to the government and said, hey, these documents were actually stolen, and he didn't report it to you. Mm-hmm. Just wanted to let you know.
Yeah, like, that's true.
Really?
That's true.
Yeah, unreal. All right, let's talk about Alpha Lock. What happened here?
Sure. So you want me to take that?
Yeah. I was going to say these next two stories are super topsy-turvy interesting. If you thought ransomware attackers reporting to the government wasn't crazy, these next two are nuts.
So Alpha Lock's another hacking group, and what they've done is they've created a pen testing training, and they're recruiting basically an army to do pen testing against targets. And so basically, it's another one of those pay as a service, but they're monetizing not only the pen tests, but they're also monetizing the training of people who want to be black hat hackers. And when I say black hat, I mean the real hackers who do it for criminal activity, not ones who are doing it to help the companies find the problems.
Let me just ask quickly, are these pen testers, the Alpha Lock group, being hired by companies, similar to what you guys do for companies?
So
are they being hired as, or are they just pen testing to find vulnerabilities that they can then exploit?
I believe it's the latter.
Yeah. Okay. And what they do is, think of it this way. You want to create, like, we own a business, let's say, and we want to create a market. Mm-hmm. So if we train hackers into how to hack, we'll get black hat hackers who will use that against companies, who then those companies will come to us and look for training.
I see what you did there.
So at this point, I can sell to whoever I want, and I know I'm getting black hat hackers, and I know that the training is really targeted towards certain Fortune 500 companies, whatever it may be. And then when they breach those companies, lo and behold, we then get more people who want to learn how to be trained. Just creating a market, supply and demand.
Kind of a
they're both sides of the
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because our next story is very similar to this as well.
Well, before you get to that, in the article, they seem to indicate that this is going to be a model that they think is going to make all the elite hackers disappear from the market because they're going to steal them all.
It's interesting.
Seems to be what they're saying. I don't really think that they're going to be that good, but we'll see.
Okay.
Well, and I think this just goes to prove, we've been talking about for many shows now how ransomware has become big business, right? Ransomware organizations, there's support companies out there that will help your grandmother buy Bitcoin for ransomware. There's ransomware development companies we can buy ransomware from. There's ransomware deployment companies that will take a piece off the side and then deploy for us. There's ransomware QA companies that will QA a ransomware and make sure that it's running as smoothly as possible. And I think we're starting to see hackers branch out. They're like, listen, we've already kind of commoditized ransomware. Let's move into pen testing and start, commoditizing hacking. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if this takes off any further.
Okay. So next, Microsoft is in the news this week. Microsoft adds enterprise security features to WSL. That's the Windows subsystem for Linux. And that seems like good news to me.
So it is good news, and it's interesting news. So I always love these stories where they go, huzzah, guess what? We now have security in this particular thing.
Yeah. It begs the question, was it insecure before?
Right, exactly.
The Ford Focus now with less fiery crashes.
Exactly. I think you want to call that the Ford
brakes.
Pinto. Version 5.0 now with brakes. Yeah.
Monster Energy drink now with half the lead.
Exactly. So then you think now we're going to get sued by Monster, Ford Focus, but
yeah. Well, these are such outrageous claims. No one can claim that we're not parodying.
Unless they do have lead. Anyways, so but it is. So it's interesting. So as a hacker who's always looking for a way to manipulate systems, what I start thinking when I see these big announcements is, whatever. It's nice that you're protecting people. I love that. But how many people, A, aren't going to apply this? B, this is more for enterprise level security, right? This is Microsoft Defender Endpoint, which is an enterprise paid service. So if that's the case, does that leave normal computers with WSL on, like mine, vulnerable to certain things? I don't know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've just found surface area on Dwayne's system.
Catch me if you can, hackers.
Yeah.
Let the games begin.
No, but so that's what I always wonder is like when these announcements come out, they're kind of a double-edged sword, right? We say, hey, this looks like a really good thing. But then, hey, what this also does is highlight there's a lot of systems out there now that may have WSL on that don't have access to this level of security. So just, you got to be careful.
So are there any details about what the security measures are? And that would sort of help us determine whether or not our desktops are vulnerable.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it is giving deeper understanding into the WSL processes that are running to Defender. So it now has the ability to tear through some of the processes, understand what they're doing in a more sort of Linux-y understanding way.
Right.
As well as better, key security and settings in Intune, which is Microsoft's, ability to manage multiple devices in a secure way. So it definitely ties into their enterprise platform better from a key management sense. And it understands those applications that are running a little bit better. It'll be just interesting to see where this gap is in systems that are not enrolled in enterprise, right? And systems that are.
Okay, next story is more evidence that Dwayne will end up becoming a criminal someday. Just because of the law of averages, cybersecurity firm executive pleads guilty to hacking hospitals.
I love this story.
Oops.
Okay, so it's very similar to the last story where they're like, hey, I want to create a market. So this guy's CEO of a cybersecurity firm. He's hands-on keys. He's a red teamer. And he says, you know what? We pen test medical companies. Wouldn't it be great if more of them thought they needed us? How about I hack into medical companies, steal data, lock them out of systems, which some of those systems are like active radiology systems, but lock them out of systems so that then there's all this need for them to come to me to then actually do pen testing services.
How do these people sleep at night? I just don't get it.
They're teenagers who don't understand business models. That doesn't actually isn't the way things work.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I mean, just like the other guys there, I just smell like 18-year-old kids here.
Yeah, amateur. The thing they don't realize is the person who gets the contract after the system gets hacked is whoever's playing golf with the director.
Yeah.
And none of them are playing golf with the director.
Know what golf is.
But it's interesting. So the prosecutors are actually asking for 57 months of probation for this guy.
Wow.
So if that's 4 years worth of you don't get to touch a computer for any reasonable things, including home detention, where this guy'd be, shackled in his house without a computer.
How old is he?
Yeah, I don't know that they disclose that.
Normally, you just send him to prison.
Yeah, what's wrong with prison?
I would say this is a young person that's why they're on this kind of sentence, because otherwise they just go to prison.
I don't think it sounds like a kid, honestly. I mean, this guy's the chief operating. There's a couple different things. First off, he's a chief operating officer of a company. Not too many underage chief operating officers that I know of.
Right.
Doing actually a little bit of digging on this guy. It actually looks like the reason they're asking for home detention is because he has, quote unquote, been diagnosed with a rare and incurable form of cancer.
Well, that's too bad.
So, yeah, that makes sense.
So there's your sentence right there.
All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back leading up to the top story, which is the top 200 most common passwords list. We'll be right back. And we're back. It's Security This Week. I'm Carl Franklin. That's Dwayne LaFlotte and Patrick Hines. And we got a few more stories to go over before we get to the top story. But go ahead. Malware Dev says they can revive expired Google authentication cookies. Wow.
Yeah. This one's interesting.
That's bad.
So, all right, for those of you who don't do a lot of web development, a cookie is a little bit of data that gets pushed down your browser that then allows the server to recognize something about you in the future. So it could just be preferences. It could just be, I like the site to be red and the text to be white. Could be an identifier. It could be some random thing that's used for the site for some particular purpose. Now, it's not unheard of to have authentication tokens in those cookies. Right.
Yeah, it's a thread of continuity. The requests that you make with a website don't count on you always getting the same server in an array of servers that might be talking to you. And so it's transactional. It doesn't remember who you are. And so that's the reason that we need these cookies. This like, remind me who you are. Oh, it's you. Okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
And they are stored on disk so that they can, exist between, the days or weeks or months or however long the expiration date is on the cookie. And yeah, Dwayne's right. They could be preferences. They could simply be an identifier so that the server could look you up with that identifier and get all the preferences from a database, whatever it is.
But we really need them to expire and stay dead.
Yes.
Yeah, and usually they do, especially with session cookies. I know with take Amazon, for example. If you were browsing Amazon's website and you're going to go buy something, every time you refresh the page, you're probably not hitting the same server. It is what it is. I know Netflix says if you watch anything on Netflix longer than 10 minutes, then you are not watching it on the same server. Because they've already switched you out to different servers. So these cookies can be very useful, but you're absolutely right. Anything that's going to allow for authentication into the system needs to die. And usually they do. They're set to expire. So they're not going to be cookies that are going to stay around. They're in session storage, not local storage. There's two different storage areas for a browser. Local storage is where I can store long-term cookies. Session storage is where I would store something just for a particular session.
And a session is typically something that times out when, you get up and walk away.
Yeah, it's while I'm browsing that site, that session is live. Now, imagine, if you will, I have a piece of malware sitting on my computer and I'm browsing, say, Amazon's website. And I get one of these session cookies. Well, the malware says they can take that session cookie, and even though it has expired, they can bring it back and have it be used once or twice more. It's not infinite. It's like a 1 or 2 shot thing. So it's interesting. I don't know whether it's real. It's hard to validate, right? But I'm sure Google's team is absolutely going to look into this and see what is it that's happening with these Google cookies, and is it something that can be shut down? But for now, the malware dev is trying to offload this data. What's interesting is they say, and I love this too. We talk about it being big business. This malware developer, you can pay to subscribe to their data, and at the enterprise tier, which is $1,000 a month, you get access to these cookies.
So, Dwayne, how do you find their customer service?
It's okay. I'm joking. So, but it is interesting. Here's another company, if you will, selling access to other people's data. And they have tiers of support. Their highest tier is their corporate plan, $1,000 a month. So, that's it's crazy. It's crazy.
Right. Should we
but
worry
reviving
about
dead
it?
cookies, I don't think is it could be BS.
Yeah.
But I would just be careful. What's that?
Should we worry about it?
Honestly, if you're at the point in your life where you're worried about somebody stealing your Google cookie that was transient and reinstating it, you're worrying about the wrong thing. What you should be worrying about is the piece of malware that got onto your computer to grab that session cookie. Yeah. So good digital hygiene before that, having Defender up and running, having it updated all the time, having, your browser, closing your browser and updating it all the time. Right. Those are the things you should be worried about.
True.
This is just more like, what are the consequences, right?
Right.
It's like,
here's what they can do.
Yeah, it's like saying, "Hey, listen, if you jump off, you jump off one of the rims of the Grand Canyon and hit the ground, you're gonna die." And people going, "Oh, well, what should we do about the whole dying thing?" Don't jump off of the rim. That's really kind of where you should be thinking about it, not at the end of the splat part.
Yeah, but how do I protect my watch from fall?
Buy a Rolex. So this one is interesting. It's been a while since I've read about a USB worm.
Right.
And I guess that is something that, is on a little USB thumb drive. You plug it into the computer and it infects the whole computer. But this article says USB worm unleashed by Russian state hackers spreads worldwide. This can't be good.
I'm in awe and horrified at how low tech and simple this attack is. This is a USB stick with VB code.
Wow.
VB script. You plug it in and it infects the local system. And it does a couple different things. First off, it tries to reach out to, it schedules a task schedule, right? So on Windows, a lot of hackers, what they like to do is what's called living off the land, right? So they don't want to bring any tools in that might be identified. Right. And this does kind of the same thing. So what it does is it creates a scheduled task, and that scheduled task checks in with a command and control, C2, and that's usually over the web. If it can't reach over the web, then it falls back to talking over Telegram, which is just a chat communication protocol. So that's what it does on the side, and steals data and runs payloads and that sort of thing. But the worm part means it needs to propagate. Actually, going back to history, does anybody remember one of the first worms ever created?
Yeah, Robert Tappan
Morris. Robert Tappan, RTM, yeah. Robert Tappan Morris created a worm back in 1987, maybe?
I think it was earlier than that. I think it was 82.
Took down most of the internet. Was the first person ever to be charged with the Computer Abuse and Fraud Act. And now he teaches at MIT.
Wow. See? Yeah. There you go. Just keep hacking, and then someday you'll be teaching at MIT.
Yeah, you too could be a teacher at MIT. Brilliant developer. His worm was the same in that it propagated itself. It reached out to other systems and then continued to move, and reached out to other systems, continued to move. Entirely different than like ransomware. Ransomware reaches out to other systems just to encrypt data, not typically propagate its process. Worms try and move from system to system with their process, so that the file will run on system A and then go to system B and run, and go to system C and run, and continue to propagate. So what this one does is it actually searches through all of the drives on the local computer, the hard drives, the C drive, D drive, whatever, and it looks for a particular tag to see if any of those drives are USBs.
Of course.
If they are, it infects them. Then when you unplug that USB and plug it in somewhere else. So the original USB you picked up in the parking lot that you plugged in may infect another USB you have plugged in. And then when you carry that one around, it infects other USBs, so on and so forth.
So I think that this happens far more often than most people think, because most ransomwares, they never get a definitive, this is how we got it, this is where we got it. And I think that a lot of times it's, somebody plugs in a USB from home and the assumption is, oh, someone got phished. Yeah, maybe they did, but it might have been at home.
Mm-hmm. But
they can't find the root cause. USB is still a very, I think, just because we are not hearing about it, I don't think it's in the sidelines.
Yeah,
still surprises me. Yeah. Every time I see it, it still surprises me that someone gets infected over a USB.
Well, the same is true of SQL injection.
Yeah, that's true. But I've never walked through a parking lot, or more nefariously, I've never been snail mailed a USB drive and gone, wonder what's on here. Let me plug that in. Like, just doesn't happen.
You're more the sender.
Is this a good time to talk about that device that we were going to create? Or see if there are existing devices that...
So there are existing devices. There are devices that you can buy from different manufacturers that will check USB drives to make sure they're safe. They're quite expensive, many of them. There's some other versions, but basically what they're doing is they're like self-contained kiosk systems that will do a virus check. They're just doing a virus check on the device.
They're not really on the internet or on your network while you're plugging those things in. So
They shouldn't be. They could be, but they shouldn't be. But the whole idea is if you can do without them if you just get a system that's not connected to your network, that's like on a guest network, and put antivirus on it and plug in USBs there and test them and reflash that machine in between each use. That's the step that people miss is You don't want to take the chance that something's crawled onto that system in between scans, and now you're infecting everything that goes through it. So that's actually a best practice. But you can do it without buying a system. We looked into like whether this was something, but there's actually offerings out there.
It would have been a fun project.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been.
Okay, let's talk about OwnCloud, OWN Cloud, file sharing app.
I think this is supposed to be like if you had your own cloud.
Yeah.
Right?
Critical bug in OwnCloud file sharing app exposes admin passwords. Dope!
Oh, I thought you were saying own cloud,
own,
like
O-W-N.
meditation. I thought that might be what the Azure team says when they're trying to relax.
No, they should change that O with a P and make it Pwn Cloud, because honestly, I've never seen such a train wreck in many years of cybersecurity. There's 3 CVEs in here. Okay, so customers will set up this own cloud. And what they'll do with it is they'll want to replicate file storage between multiple different sites, between my house and Patrick's house and Carl's house, between whatever, right? And they'll put this up connected to the internet, of course, because I want to replicate the data around through the internet, and I might want to access those files and that sort of thing. And that makes sense. There's a lot of devices that do this, like QNAPs do this, and Synologies do this. It's pretty common, right? So this particular software is used by 200. It has 200,000 installs. Is used by 600 enterprise customers, and they estimate about 200 million end users are using this software. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so you say that's pretty good. So the first issue they have is a CVSS V3. So remember, this is the new CVSS score.
Okay,
10. Like completely. Wow. They left a file on the in the install that goes to /apps, graph API, vendor, Microsoft Graphs, test, get PHP info.php. So if you call that page, no hack, no nothing, just call that page, you get any type of cloud passwords and keys they've put into the system, the administrator username and password, all of it just shows right up on that page.
Oh my God.
And requires no authentication to get to.
So this is the kind of thing that we see when somebody turns on tracing and never shuts it off.
Exactly.
Patrick, you have expressed skepticism when you encounter a score of 10. Is this really a score of 10 or is it 9.8?
I mean, when you don't even have to turn the doorknob to get in, I think, that's probably
when you put your password on a billboard.
Yeah. So it's a 10 both in how easy it is to get hacked and the damage that it can do. It's both.
Yeah, absolutely. And the technical knowledge, the technical knowledge needed is literally go to this link we're going to put up with the show and find the hyperlink you need to click on. And then you could easily go to Shodan, find all of the different publicly accessible devices that are running this own cloud, and then just click on the link, and sure enough, you can log in.
And then you can own the cloud.
What? All right, so...
Apparently,
so is it a patch, or has anyone that has ever used this already screwed? That's the best
part. So, so no patch for that.
Or the worst part.
Their recommendation is, you should go and delete that file we left in there. But that's one of 3 CVSSs for this particular build. So number 1 is a 10.
Okay.
2 is not so bad. Number 2's only a 9.8.
3 is an 11.
No, number 2 is a 9.8. And it's a complete authentication bypass. So that username and password you picked up on the other page doesn't actually matter, because you can access, modify, or delete any file you want just by bypassing authentication entirely. Requires a little bit more technical knowledge, but honestly, not much. And the third CVSS is a 9. And this is a subdomain validation bypass. So this is if you've locked down the OAuth in here to a particular subdomain, it doesn't matter. We can say, oh no, we're only people from Microsoft.com can log into this. I'm Dwayne.Microsoft.com. Oh, okay, cool. You're at least from Microsoft.com is cool. But there's no validation. So I can just say who I'm from. So yeah, there are 3 CVSSs, all of the V3 score of 10, 9.8, and 9. None of them have any patches. Most of them say, go change your configuration.
You know, in gymnastics, that's a pretty good score.
That's an Olympic score right there. That's
That's right. Yeah, that's really good. It's a really good Olympic score in gymnastics.
Man. So let me just ask this. Is this company going down over this? Are they screwed?
So OwnCloud is an open source file sync software.
Okay.
Yes. So it's usually used by people who aren't going to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars for file sync. So you're talking enterprise institution, educational institutions, smaller enterprises. But at 200,000 installs, that's a lot.
And nobody has sent a pull request to fix these problems.
Not that I've seen yet, but I'm sure it's in the works.
Oh, man. And the other thing is the file that they left. Let's talk about, the problem number one. Vulnerability number one is that if file is a link, you said it's right.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You just literally go to getphpinfo.php and you will see all of the data.
All right. So here's the question. Are they already screwed because they've leaked that URL? Whether or not it's on the disk or not, somebody can just go to that URL and get the data. That seems to me to be the real problem here.
Yeah, and honestly, I think anybody who looked through the public repo probably would have found this anyways and said, this is weird. There's a test file in here. Is it on the production deployed version? Oh, it is? Sweet, right? So although there's no direct link on the main login page that says, hey, check out your PHP info, I think anybody who had looked at the GitHub would have known, oh yeah, this is real easy. They've left a development file here that pulls all of the secrets and puts them in one place for me.
Uh-oh.
Which sounds like a terrible idea, because it is a terrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that brings us to the clickbait story here, our top story, the top 200 most common passwords.
All right.
What's the matter? Password123 is no good anymore.
It's great. Dwayne loves it.
First off, I do. Okay, first up, I want to ask you guys a question. I love the
picture of the dude on the website.
He looks
what is
shocked
this?
And surprised.
Shocked, surprised, and curiously happy.
Right. So what's funny is this is from nordpass.com, and they come up with this list of passwords pretty much every year, but what we have is the top findings. But what I find fascinating about this is it's the top findings by country.
Oh.
By country. So I ask you, Carl and Patrick, without cheating and looking at the list, what do you think the number one crappiest password is? Most common password for the United States is number one.
Just got to be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
I think I've already looked at it, so I can't say.
It's got to be like 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's 6 characters long.
Or password.
I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is number one at 83,000 times that was found. Okay, let's switch to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same.
Okay.
Let's wait. Hold on.
Wow.
Let's go to pick a country. Germany. Ooh, Turkey. I like Turkey. Let's do Turkey.
Romania is admin.
Well, in honor of Thanksgiving.
Honor of Thanksgiving.
Chile in honor of Taco Bell. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So most of them are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Admin comes in second.
Yes.
I'm just insulted that it's only 6 characters long.
Yeah, right.
Germany, number one password, admin.
As we learned last week, size matters. So
here at Sprockets, this is the time when
you know what's great? Estonia, the number 2 used password in Estonia.
Is Latvia?
Is KAPSAS. Kapsas? I don't even know what that is, but that might be the most secure, crappy password I've ever heard of.
That's an abbreviation for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, it's watch out, or that guy's going to caps your ass.
All right, maybe
he's going to bust a cap.
Well, so So let's get some value out of this other than some hilarity. So the way you pick a good password is you eschew patterns on the keyboard, elite speak that you think that hackers don't know about, even though they invented it, words in the dictionary, things that you think that adding a 1 or an exclamation point to the end of makes, hard to guess.
In short, use a password manager and create 32 character, at least 32 character long passwords.
But why? Why do you need to do that? Well, the reason you need to do that is because very often hackers will figure out a way to offline brute force password. And when we do, we get to guess billions of times a second, which means we're going to go through every possible combination in a 6-character password in a second.
Okay.
We're going to go through every combination of a 8-character password in probably a minute. Mm-hmm. And it just goes up from there. So if you're not 12 characters and I can get an offline representation of a hash or something that I can use to brute force, it's gonna fall unless it's truly like just luckily at the end of the range. So you want longer and longer and longer passwords, and that's just going to keep becoming more and more true.
Right. Until passwords are not a thing anymore.
Right.
And the next thing is going to be pass keys, which we're starting to see. But again, you can save those into your password managers, and so they're going to become even more important.
Yeah. Okay. The best password on this list. Best password. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
Does it go to 7?
8 characters long. And it's star, 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 star. 8 characters, stars.
Wow.
So it looks like when you type your password into the password manager, it hides it with the stars. They actually used the stars, Shift 8, as their password. And I can tell you, I as a hacker have been stymied by this several times where it comes out with all stars and I'm like, well, crap, it's uncrackable. I don't even know what that is, right? And then you go, wait a second. Oh, they're messing with me. It's stars. So that one, I think that's impressive. But that's the number 19th worldwide used password. 8 stars.
But it's also in the dictionary, so that means the automated attack is going to find it.
Yes, it will. Yes.
Amazing. All right, guys. It's been a wacky week.
Yeah, it has.
This is what happens when you give people all that turkey and tryptophan and
they decide to go out and hack things. Yeah. Special eggnog.
All right, guys.
I think eggnog comes pre-hacked. I don't touch the stuff.
Well, the eggs are certainly cracked. Okay, with that, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.